Hey, what's up, y'all? How's it going, everybody? Just a casual Wednesday night. Wanted to talk Texas Tech sports with y'all a little bit. Also, the NCAA tournament, some of my favorite bets. Lot to discuss. As always, be sure to like the video, leave your comment. We got a question up there right now. Q&A. Who do you want to be the new Texas Tech head men's basketball coaches? I'm sure you might see Murphy and Shelby behind me here. They're coming to hang out too. The dogs are. So just let me know who y'all want to be the next head men's basketball coach at Texas Tech. I think it's a fascinating discussion. I'll give you my favorite. If you don't follow me on Twitter, well, you've probably already seen it. If you do, if you don't, we'll talk about them today. But kind of wanted to give y'all an update in what some of the national media members are saying right now when it comes to Texas Tech and who has kind of been in that mix. Because I'll be honest with you, if y'all know me, I never claim to know everything. I refuse to do that because Lord knows I don't. But from what I've heard is a lot of just nothing right now. It's been very quiet on this coaching front, which I don't think is a surprise at all. And I've asked a bunch of my buddies that know people close to the program and everything, and they've mentioned a couple names to me, and I've heard them too. But over the past couple days, it's been a little quiet. And I think that can be to be expected a little bit, right? When you think about it, Texas Tech is probably in its biggest stage right now in terms of men's basketball. This is the biggest hire in program history, right? They want to get this right, okay? So some of the names that have been thrown around from the national media, this over on ESPN today, you have Andy Kennedy. I don't get that at all. I mean, he's a solid coach, but I don't know if that makes me feel great. Let me know if y'all disagree or maybe I'm missing something on the Andy Kennedy front. And then the other two names that they mentioned are Grant McCasland and Paul Mills. Now, on the Paul Mills front and the Grant McCasland front, I know for a fact they have at least called, interviewed, or at least communicated with those two guys at least twice. What form or capacity that is, I'm not exactly sure. I just know that they have been in contact with those two. Right. And so you look at those two names and it feels like those are the most popular names out there right now. I know The Athletic put out 10 names that could potentially be in this job hunt or job search, I should say, for Texas Tech. And for me, there's a lot of directions you can go. I have a video on the channel. Be sure to check that out. I give my top 10 in terms of the 10 names that I think should be in the mix for this job. I also give, hey, what are they looking for right now, or what should they be looking for? And by the way, I absolutely love the committee that they put together. I really do. I know that there's a lot of people questioning Norense Odiase being on there. I think that's the absolute best person you can have on this committee. And there's a lot of reasons why. First and foremost, he was a player. He knows what it's like. There's nobody else on that committee that has played D1 men's college basketball. Simple and plain. Second of all, he knows the current landscape of the game of basketball. He knows what the portal can do. He understands NIL. Third of all, he has those connections right now in the high school ranks and everything, right? He is a well-respected individual when it comes to his opinion, not only at Texas Tech, but in the basketball community, right? So I think having him on there, having that younger viewpoint and being able to have his input and it being taken seriously, I think is huge for Texas Tech in a lot of ways. And obviously Joey McGuire being on there, huge as well. I love that. And really, I like Joey McGuire on there. I know it's a basketball coach. Some people aren't going to like that. It is what it is. I think from the viewpoint of, hey, this is what you're trying to get again. You're trying to replicate this, but in men's basketball. And of course, I'm talking about replicating the hire of Joey McGuire. Easier said than done in every facet imaginable, right? Every facet imaginable, it is easier said than done. Obviously, Dusty Womble is going to be on there. His opinion is very valuable from a donor's perspective. And obviously, he's going to have some say in what goes on in this program, like it or not. And then Kirby, the AD, is going to be on there. But overall, I really like that. And I also think that another aspect of this that's big is they hired a search firm. And they did that last time as well. But this happened quick last time, right? Like, I don't get that sense at all that this is going to happen quick for Texas Tech. In fact, I think we're probably looking into this time next week at the earliest that this could happen, because you think about some of the guys that have been rumored to this job, and a lot of them are in the NCAA tournament, right? The only ones that aren't are like the Grant McCaslands of the world. And so, again, I think you can go that direction, but I think Texas Tech is really doing their due diligence in this search because they have to get it right, right? Like, this is the most important hire in Texas Tech men's basketball program history. Like, it is. It's that simple, in my opinion, because I think if you mess this up, you are back to the Stone Ages, as I like to call them, the ones where students can show up 5 minutes before tip-off and they're 3 rows deep, right? Like, I think that could happen. Obviously, with the resources and the facilities you have, I don't think it should, but you got to get that coach right. You got to get the coach right. Let me read some of the comments real quick, and we'll talk about a lot on today's live. I don't know how long we'll go, probably like, let's say maybe an hour. But if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, share it, ask me a question in the comments as well. Let's see here. Mitchell's here. You got Lutz. Chris Alexander brings up Lutz down from Corpus Christi. I like him as a coach. I do wonder if that's a significant jump, and I will sound like a hypocrite later, Chris. I understand that when it comes to it. But I wonder just kind of his viewpoint. And I've done a little bit of research on him. Obviously, watched the game last night when it came to the first 4 in up there in Dayton. And I like their style a little bit. But he's well down the list, in my opinion, at least on my personal one. And this is from, I made a bet and I lost it now. Rick Pitino can get them on track. Rick Pitino is not coming to Lubbock. Like, let's stop that. He's not coming to Lubbock. He's not. I would be absolutely unequivocally shocked if he is not the Georgetown, St. John's, or Iona head coach next year. Mostly St. John's. You're telling me a guy that loves the Northeast, that loves authentic Italian food from New York. He talks about how much he loves New York, right? You're telling me he's not going to take the job that every home game that St. John plays is in the Mecca? That he's going to take that job. Like, if it's offered, they're just using Texas Tech as leverage. That felt like when that came out with Rothstein, I think, tweeted it out, that Texas Tech had serious interest in Rick Pitino. I'm sure they made a call. But let's be real. That felt like a leverage play by the agent of Rick Pitino. What's up, Mitchell? Hope everything is well. Chris, I'm doing great. I hope you're doing well, my friend, as well. Andrew says, John Jacobs. Yep. We'll be talking about him a little bit. Rodney says Ben McCollum at Northwest Missouri. Yep, that is the guy I am going to sound like a hypocrite on later on here. Old Texas Tech man, I like Paul Mills. He's definitely in the running for it. I think he's probably closer to the odds-on favorite to land this job than virtually anybody. From Andrew, Kennedy made the tournament 2 times in 11 seasons. Wouldn't want that. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't get the appeal personally of Andy Kennedy. I think he's a good coach, but I mean, like, I don't personally get the appeal of it. Let's see here. This from Brandon. You got Jacobs, you got May, you got Mills. Those are your top 3. We'll definitely be talking about a lot of those guys. Old Texas Tech man says, I don't like Womble on the search committee. It's going to happen when you pay $35 million. It's going to happen, like it or not. That's college athletics. And he's done a lot more for Texas Tech than damn near any of us, probably, well, let's be real, any of us ever will. This from Mitchell. Ben McCollum is his choice. Chris Alexander, I like Paul Mills as well. Noah says, what's up, RC? I hope you're doing well, Noah. Mitchell says, the Texas A&M Corpus Christi coach isn't ready yet. I don't know if he's not ready, but I just don't know if he's my personal favorite. He's probably like 9th or 10th on the list, if I'm being honest. It's from Old Texas Tech, man. Which player do you think that we got, you think are Red Raiders for life? It's portal era, baby. We'll talk about transfers here in a minute as well. And then Noah asks, you think Pop staying or nah? Well, let's just go straight into the portal talk. So Texas Tech has 3 players in the portal right now. Officially, it is Robert Jennings who's generating a lot of buzz. Been talking people close to that situation. They have been talking to a lot of schools, damn near 30 plus already, and he's barely been in the portal for 24 hours. Obviously, Fardaws, he got on there before, well, I don't even know. I don't even know if they were on the plane or how that worked out. And then KJ Allen went into the portal today as well. KJ, I mean, it's one of those deals where it was a great story. I love the whole backstory between Last Chance U and kind of his struggles and everything, especially with COVID and trying to get to the next level. I think he's a solid basketball player. I just question if he's a power 6 guy, and by no means is that a shot at him. Listen, if you're playing mid-major basketball, you're a very good basketball player, and KJ Allen is a very good basketball player. I think he's just a mid-major guy, and I think that's probably where he ends up, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back home to California. I know he was homesick a little bit at times here in Texas, so I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. On the Robert Jennings front, I saw Mitchell say Fardaws and Robert Jennings are 100% gone. I wouldn't count out Rob coming back. It kind of depends on the hire. Same with Fardaws, but more so Robert Jennings, I would say. He's getting serious interest, though. I'm talking like high-level programs. Chris Beard has reached out to him. There's been some other schools as well that are high major programs that have reached out to Robert Jennings in the first 24 hours. Buddy Tobias Bass on top of that. He's close to their family, so he's been tweeting that out. So, yeah, on the portal front, listen, I've stood by this ever since the jump, right? And I'll continue to say it. Every one of these guys should probably put their name in the portal. Let's just be real about it, just because you need to check and see your options if you're the players. But really, just think of the situation. They don't know who their coach is going to be, right? Like they don't know. They don't know who their coach is going to be. So why would you not have that leverage if you are one of the players, right? Like, why would you not do that? I think that's just kind of my opinion on it. Again, I've stood by it the whole time. I really think, again, that, hey, like, put your name in the portal, but don't get it twisted. NIL is probably a part of this. Like, there's a reason some of these guys haven't entered the portal yet. It's one of those deals where it's like, okay, you can't get NIL. I think the disbursement goes out on April 1st. And they obviously want to get the money that they were promised kind of deals. So they'll probably wait it out till then. But that's a risky type game. And by no means am I saying that's what they're doing, but that is probably on some of their radar. Old Texas Tech man, why can't they wait and see? Why not have more options? Why not see all the options that are out there, right? I think people get it twisted with college athletes most of the time. Athletes do not commit to schools 95% of the time. They commit to coaches, right? And that's not wrong in any stretch of the imagination. That's probably how it should be. You think about how much time and energy you spend with those guys in that building, they typically commit to coaches, and that's 100% fine. That's just kind of how it goes. You want to see those options that you have. I think by all means, going into the portal is the right move for virtually all of these guys, right? That doesn't necessarily mean they're leaving, though. People see that, they're going into the portal, they're 100% gone or whatever it may be. Like, no, that's not how it works. They just want to make sure that they cover their own ass and have a little bit of options just in case that coach that gets hired doesn't want them back, right? Like, that's what you have to understand is, yeah, maybe they want to come back, but that doesn't mean that the coach wants them. That's just how college athletics works sometimes. It's a cruel world, but that's just kind of how it works. Let's see here. This from Ryan. What did you think about the false Tyson news or the false news about Tyson? Listen, until I hear it from a family member or something like that on the Jalen front, or Jalen himself, I'm not going to really believe any of that. I know Jalen Tyson loves Texas Tech, loves everything about West Texas, loves the community, and really everything in between. I know that he loves the fan base. He's got really good friends here. I mean, one of his best friends is Jerron Bradley, wide receiver for Texas Tech football. So, yeah, he loves it out here. But again, I mean, it's probably one of those deals where I don't think I'd be shocked if he entered the portal, but there's nothing on that surface right now when it comes down to it. This from Chris. Really, let's see how these coaches do in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't really know if it matters to me. In my opinion, what they do in the tournament. I think, again, what this comes down to for Texas Tech is what do you want? And everybody has a preference. Everybody on that committee will probably have a different preference in terms of what do you want, an older guy? Do you want a younger guy with less experience? Do you want a defensive-minded head coach, offensive-minded head coach? Do you want that CEO type guy? Like, what do you want? And then you have to go find those respective guys, right? And for me, and let's just start this now. I've got these notes up real quick in terms of the guys that I think Texas Tech should target. And if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, share it real quick, leave a comment. Let me know who you want to be the next Texas Tech head men's basketball coach. But I'm going to run through some names that I think Texas Tech should at least call. And then I'm going to give you the 3 that I think Texas Tech seriously needs to consider. But let's start here. Dusty May, Florida Atlantic. You're going to see him play here in the next couple of days. Man, they got some studs out there in Boca Raton. I'll tell you that. They are a really good, well-coached basketball team. He was in the mix for the Ole Miss job. Obviously, we know Coach Beard got that one down there in Oxford. I really like him a lot. I think a name also that people aren't considering enough in this is Pat Kelsey at the College of Charleston. And by the way, we'll talk about some of my favorite upset picks and NCAA bets here in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. I'll be going out to Vegas tomorrow to watch the NCAA tournament and just be a degenerate gambler because, well, it's kind of what I am at heart, I guess. Anyway, I really like Pat Kelsey, and he's one of my favorite coaches in the tournament because of his story, but also what they represent as a basketball team. They are really good. Go watch a College of Charleston highlight, and you will be like, I want that in the Big 12. Right? They got shooters on shooters. They got multiple guys shooting over 40% from 3. They play defense. They switch a little bit. They got a primary guard that's an absolute stud. They've also got a big that's a versatile big, kind of like that 6'8", 6'9" guy, stud. And they play 4 out, 1 in, and it is a beautiful thing to watch. Love him a lot. Then there's another Baylor coach that I like. It's Alvin Brooks III. If you don't know who that is, you should. He is one of the associate head coaches for the Baylor Bears, and I personally love the Scott Drew coaching tree, and you will see a theme in my 3 that I think should be heavily considered for Texas Tech when it comes down to it, and I might throw in a 4th there just because of personal preference because, well, it's my live stream, you know what I mean? Anyway, Alvin Brooks is one of the best recruiters in the Big 12. It's that simple. Go look at who he has got to come to Baylor, and you will notice a lot of names. He's gotten Langston Love to come there. Obviously, this year is Keontae George. He was the primary recruiter for him, and we know how great Keontae George is. He's going to be a top 8 pick in the NBA draft here in a few months. He's a stud. And Alvin Brooks has been in the Big 12 for a decade as an assistant head coach or an assistant and just associate head coach, right? So he's proven. He's proven in the Big 12. He's got a lot of Texas ties. He's originally from Houston. His dad actually coached at Lamar down there in Houston as well for a long time, or the Houston area, I guess I should say. He is a son of a coach and everything that stands for being a good coach in college basketball. Family man. He is really, really good, and I like him quite a bit. Let's get some of the big names out of the way. Sean Miller, Rodney Terry, right? If you can go get one of these 2 guys, they're number 1 at my list. Simple and plain. But I just don't know if Sean Miller is going to leave Xavier. And it sounds weird to say, but I want to give Texas the benefit of the doubt that they're not dumb enough not to hire Rodney Terry. Like, hire that man. This is one of the easiest things to do. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand what's going on here. Hire Rodney Terry if you're UT. It is not hard. A guy that's kind of under the radar, but I think doesn't get enough credit in terms of the coach that he is and kind of his career path. A lot of people think, oh, he's a coach's son. a legend coach's son at that point. Everything must have been handed to him. Not the case at all. Kellen Sampson is who I'm talking about. He's young and up and coming, down at U of H, on the coaching staff for his dad, coached at Oklahoma. Really, really good recruiter, has been one of those guys that has gotten elite level talent down to Houston. And by no means am I trying to diss Houston right here, but it is an absolute marvel in today's college basketball landscape what Kelvin Sampson, his dad, has done. And Kellen Sampson has been a large part of that. He's been down there since 2014. He is a really good coach. Maybe he needs to go to a mid-major first. I'm not sure, but I think he is a very qualified guy. And I think in the near future, maybe not at Texas Tech, but here in the near future, he's going to be a Power 6 head coach, and he's going to be a really good one at that. All right, so the next one, this is where things get fun for me. Let's start with the guy that I don't think will get it, but I think it'd be a hell of a lot of fun. And it's been mentioned already in the comments section. Ben McCollum, the Northwest Missouri State coach. He's won 4 of the last 5 D2 national championships. He is an offensive wizard. Power 6 programs legitimately are stealing his offense, right? Like, he is a marvel when it comes to the offensive game. Do I think that the jump from D2 to Power 6 would be too much for him? No, but I also do understand the semantics of it, right? So I think for me, it's far unlikely that this happens. I would absolutely call him and gauge interest because I think he is a guy that absolutely deserves a chance. But when it comes down to it, I don't think Texas Tech is going to have him in the finalist of it. Or in the running for the job, but I would absolutely love it. Hear this stat. You ready for this? Since 2015-2016 season, his teams have lost a combined 21 games. That shit is wild. I don't care if it's at the D2 or you're playing in middle school. That many losses in that amount of time, we're talking 8 years, 7 years, right? That is insane. Unbelievable. Now, let's get to guys that I think are realistic for this job. And I will name my favorite at the very end. Grant McCasland, I think, is realistic. He's the odds-on favorite to land this job, I think. He's got some ties to some Tech players as well. He's solid. To me, though, and this is not a slight at Grant McCasland whatsoever. It's really, really not. He kind of feels just like a younger Mark Adams in terms of scheme and everything. Defensive oriented, he's got a really good defense, but holy crap, is their offense slower than a turtle. My God, they are putrid offensively in terms of pace. They rank dead last in D1 in all of Division I basketball this year. Dead last. Like, it is unfathomable how slow they are. So for me, I get it from the defensive standpoint, but I'm also of the mind now where college basketball is shifting. There's a reason that the no middle isn't working as well as it once did. College basketball is shifting to more of, hey, you got to make some fucking buckets, right? I don't know if Grant McCasland can shift that way in terms of maybe he can hire a guy to be his offensive coordinator of sorts. But he's going to be firmly in the mix, and I think he's a good coach. His name should be into the end of this. And obviously, we mentioned Andy Kennedy. I want to put him out there as well. I haven't mentioned him on my list. Apparently, he's a dark horse for this, according to some national media guys, including ESPN. I don't see it. I personally wouldn't like that hire. That's just my opinion. I don't think he would be a great fit in Lubbock, but I guess crazier things have happened, right? Now, the top 2 for me are these guys in order, right? And if you agree with either of them, like the video for me. In number 2, I've got Paul Mills. I like Paul Mills because I like offense, right? He plays enough defense where it matters in terms of, hey, he's solid enough defensively where he can make this work, right? And I want to make sure that I get these numbers right because offensively, I mean, Oral Roberts is quite literally one of the best shooting teams in the country. All right. This is from Bart Torvik By the way, if y'all aren't going on there for analytics, him and Kim Palm are the two I trust the most, right? Look at these offensive numbers for Oral Roberts, all right? Adjusted offensive efficiency, 33rd in the country at 113.6. Solid. Pretty good if you ask me, actually. Effective field goal percentage, 7th in the country at 56.1%. You got a turnover percentage of 2nd in the country in the best way possible. They don't turn the ball over, right? At 13.2 per game, but it gets better. Shooting, they are 35th in the country at 37% even as a team. That is nearly 4.5 points better than what Texas Tech shot from deep this year. Mind-boggling, right? When it comes to inside the arc, they're top 10 in the country in field goal percentage, shooting 56.6%. Again, wild, right? Oh, and by the way, they shoot free throws at a high rate too, at 78.4%. Okay? This isn't just a one-hit wonder type deal either for Oral Roberts. They've done this for the past 3 seasons. And you remember one of those seasons, they beat Ohio State as a 15 seed back in 2021. And you look at what they did in back then, they had the best free throw shooting team in the country. They were top 18 in the country when it came to threes, right? They had a turnover percentage in the top 20, and they absolutely had a great offensive efficiency as well. That was in 2021, where they made the Sweet 16. In 2022, right? You look back and what they did there. They were 4th in turnovers. So these teams just don't turn the ball over under Paul Mills. And he's an offensive coach. This is him. And then they shoot lights out from deep. The worst that they've ranked nationally in the past 3 years is 37th when they shot 37% from deep. Sign me up all day for that. I am all about it, right? And there's a lot of people I've seen that don't like Paul Mills just because this, that, and the other. It is what it is. I like Paul Mills after doing all this research, and probably too much that my fiance, she probably doesn't like how much research I've done, but it is what it is. But yeah, I like Paul Mills. I've been talked into it a lot more by people close to it. And also just the research that I've done. I like Paul Mills, but my number one hire, I think everybody knows who it is. Tweeted about it. At least 300 people know about it because that's how many have liked it. And I'm sure people in the chat have already mentioned him. It's John Jacobs at Baylor. Sign me the fuck up, okay? Pardon my French, by the way. Don't mean to curse. No, actually, I kind of do. Potty mouth. Sorry. Anyway, I think Jacobs is not getting talked about enough for his acumen, what his record is in terms of really what he's done in his career. And it's really impressive in my opinion, but let's just read some of what he's done. And I think it was Austin Massey. I want to give credit where credit was due. I think he tweeted out a video on his Twitter, so be sure to go check that out. That kind of shows the personality of John Jacobs, right? But you think about the guys that he's worked for. He's worked for Scott Drew and Mark Few. Man, that was a cool rhyme. Anyway, he has been working for them for 11 years now, combined total. So he's worked at Baylor and Gonzaga, two of the best basketball programs in the country for the past 5 years in Baylor's case, and then in Gonzaga for really the past 20 since Mark Few has gotten there, right? You think about that. And then you kind of look at what he's done from a recruiting standpoint. And I think this is where things get interesting, in my opinion, all right? There are 5 all-time commits to Baylor because of him as the primary recruiter. The worst one is Joshua Ajawania. He's 6'10", he's a center, and he's a 3-star ranked out at a 92, right? Solid player. That's the lowest guy, though. The next 4, Jeremy Sohan. You know him from the San Antonio Spurs. He was a lottery pick. He got to Baylor because of John Jacobs, right? Mario Little. He is a top player in the class of 2023. He was 95th nationally, right? And then I'm not going to lie to you, I'm about to butcher these guys' names, and I apologize in advance. Then you got Jason Asmata, the 18th player in the country. He was the primary recruiter for him. But I'm not done. I'm not done at all. Then you've got Yves Messi. He is a 5-star composite center, the 17th ranked player in the class of 2024. You've got 2 5-star commits to Baylor, and John Jacobs was the primary recruiter. Listen, the reason I like him is this. He is well respected in the AAU ranks, in the high school ranks, right? I've talked to multiple high school coaches about him, just kind of putting feelers out there, right? Like, see what's going on, right? Because I'm not saying that, hey, Tech should absolutely hire this guy, right? But I want to hear about these coaches that could be in the discussion and their opinion, because listen, recruiting is the lifeblood of every program, and I want to know what people think at the level of where those recruits are coming from. So I've reached out to a couple of them. I have not heard one bad word about John Jacobs, period. Haven't heard one bad word either about Alvin Brooks. Really, any of these guys, I haven't heard anything bad about, which is a huge positive sign in my opinion. But then again, you go back to who he's coached under and what he's done for a decade. I'm not saying that he is Jerome Tang or Tommy Lloyd, but it feels that way almost to me, because Tommy Lloyd had 20 years at Gonzaga. He doesn't have 20 years at Baylor and Gonzaga, but he's got 10 going into his 11th, right? Jerome Tang was at Baylor for 14 plus years, right? John Jacobs is maybe that next guy, and I think that he has enough skins on the wall to really be taken seriously for this Texas Tech job. And I think, again, you have to hire a good staff around him. That would be pivotal. But when it comes to a guy that epitomizes everything Texas Tech, West Texas, and what it stands for to be, Red Raider tough, West Texas tough, whatever it may be, that pump jack mentality, I think it's him. And by the way, I'm not done yet. I might be a little partial to this. I'm going to go ahead and see how badly this shows up on the camera. Let me know how bad it shows up for you. You see that? You see that? Ball screens. Ball screens. How crazy is that? He runs ball screens. That's wild, man. Attacking space with pick and rolls. If y'all know me at all, I love a good pick and roll. Pick and rolls are where it's at, right? He literally is a guy that the National American Basketball Coach Association literally got to make that video, right? He is phenomenal when it comes down to it. And again, I know I'm talking highly of the guy. I want to see most. It is what it is. I understand. But yeah, those are the 4 guys I think Texas Tech needs to go after. My opinion. But let me get to y'all's questions and everything like that. I know that was a long tangent on a lot of guys. So here we go. This from Chris. Texas does dumb stuff all the time. Yeah, absolutely. And if they don't hire Rodney Terry, Texas Tech needs to throw a bag at him. Throw a bag. This from Brandon and Mandy. Kellen's a stud. Absolutely. I like him a lot too. I think that Texas Tech is in a great place here because they're going to have a lot of options here. It's just what direction do they want to go? And I think that they have the proper people in place to make the correct decision. Obviously, time will tell if it was the correct decision. But you have an opportunity, if you're Texas Tech, to really kind of alleviate that Band-Aid type aspect of, in my opinion, I said this when he got hired, Mark Adams felt like the Band-Aid type hire. And that's not supposed to be insulting or anything like that, but it's kind of what Texas Tech needed in that moment and not long-term potentially. Obviously, I didn't know this stuff was going to happen. But he just kind of felt like the Band-Aid guy because of age, what the fan base needed, what the program needed in terms of continuity, keeping some guys there. There's a lot of stuff there, right? But you want to get a guy long-term. Let's see here. This from Mitchell. We need a coach that embodies that McGuire personality. We need a true ambassador of the program. I think Paul Mills can be that. I would agree with that. I also think Grant McCasland can be that. I also think John Jacobs can be that as well. This from Mitchell as This from Brandon. Agreed about McCasland and his offense. We have seen over the years that defense plays well, but you got to score some damn points to win games. Yeah, and they don't score damn points. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know who he'd recruit. I don't know who would be on the team. But I can promise you this, with the offensive scheme they're running, Texas Tech would be lucky to score 55 points a game. It is brutal. I would rather watch grass grow. I would rather watch paint dry than a Grant McCasland offense. His defense, though, I'll watch that every damn day. It is elite. But oh my God, it is hard on the eyes when it comes to watching that. All right. This from Rodney. Great information. Thank you. Appreciate you tuning in, Rodney. Mitchell says, I'm sold. Throw the whole bag at him. This from Starter 179. Dang, bro, looking fresh with the new haircut. I appreciate you. Thank you. This from old Texas Tech man, put Mills on his staff. Mills is not leaving Oral Roberts unless it's a head coaching job. Simple and plain. He's just not. This from Kane Patterson. Thoughts on Pat Kelsey? He's got a top 50 class at Charleston. He's a winner. He brings energy. Perfect fit here. Yeah, no, I like him a lot. I really do. It's one of those deals where I talked about a little bit earlier, Kane, in the live stream. I think he's a name that isn't getting enough credit or isn't being taken seriously enough in this. I would definitely call him. And you're right. That top 50 recruiting class at Charleston is impressive as hell. I believe they got like a high 4-star recruit in that class. I mean, it is crazy. It's one of those deals where, yeah, I think that he's a guy and I love his offense. I think he should definitely be in the mix, but I think he's going to probably end up being in that, hey, we considered it, but it doesn't happen. Even though I think he should probably be higher on the list. This from Jesse. Yeah, Jacobs, I feel, is the best bet long-term. I'd be kind of sad if we don't hire him. Yeah, I think Texas Tech is going to look at those high-quality assistants because it's worked to some degree pretty successfully, right? I tweeted this out earlier, was having a conversation with someone. I want to make sure that I get it right. In terms of all the names I listed, because there was quite a few, and here it is. All right, so in the tournament right now, here are the assistant coaches that from Power 6 programs, that made the jump to D1 Power 6 head coaches without ever being a head coach. These guys are all in the tournament. Tommy Lloyd, Jerome Tang, Jeff Capel, John Shire, Micah Shrewsbury, and then Matt Painter. All of them are in the tournament. And again, I'm not saying everybody's going to do it. And is it a perfect hit rate? No. But I do think that John Jacobs could be a part of that group if Texas Tech wanted to go that direction. All right. This from Starter 179. Who do you think McGuire has a relationship with at Baylor these days? Do you think he's close with Jacobs? I don't know. I mean, really, personally, I think we're probably reading in too much about that Joey McGuire Baylor connection in terms of, hey, he's, doing that. I think Joey McGuire is more so on there because I agree you want to have that Joey McGuire type guy, and who better to spot a Joey McGuire type guy than Joey McGuire. That's kind of what I think he is, why he's on there. Why hasn't more assistants been taken from the Kansas staff? Yeah, because they pay them very well. Bill Self pays his assistants very, very well. And some of them have been. They've moved around a little bit, but not much. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Let me know if y'all agree, disagree with any of that. Be sure to like the video. Comment again. I want to hear from you guys. This is an interactive live right now. Let me know who you guys want to be the Texas Tech head men's basketball coach moving forward. Drop their last name. That's it. That's all you got to do. And then be sure to like the video as well. All right. I kind of want to move on. We've talked about the portal a little bit. We've talked about some of my favorite coaches. Y'all are here for the bracket stuff too, right? Like y'all want to hear some bets and everything like that. And the NCAA tournament. I know it kind of sucks that Tech isn't involved, but hey, man, it is what it is. Bracketology is fun regardless. So here's kind of what I want to give you guys in terms of maybe what you need to know before your bracket gets officially set. So here we go. The Big Ten is 13-1 since 2000 when they are a 7 seed. The reason I bring that up, you know who's a 7 seed this year and he's got a name of a month named after him? Tom Izzo. Just ask John Rothstein. It goes January, February, Izzo. All right? I'm taking Michigan State to win that game. I'm taking the points and the money line when it comes to Michigan State against USC. I do not trust the Pac-10 outside of really 2 teams, and I damn sure don't trust the Big Ten outside of Michigan State, because prove it to me. This also, I'm sure you've heard the Ken Pom thing in terms of top 40 adjusted offense and then top 22 adjusted defense. Some of those teams are UConn, Alabama, Texas. I'll be honest with you, to keep you guys around a little bit longer, my team that I'm picking to win the national title is not in this next group of 12 teams that I'm going to talk about. I think it is officially their year. Let me get to the comment section real quick before we get to that. Last point on Kelsey. Isaiah Coleman is the 65th player in the country, according to 24/7. Kelsey got him to Charleston. He'd kill it here. He needs more love and is a McGuire/Beard type guy. Yeah, I like him a lot. I like watching College of Charleston. I think they're going to have a first-round upset. I mean, that's what I have in my bracket right now. I think they beat slow-paced San Diego State. I don't trust teams that are slow-paced, that can't make shots. College of Charleston can play both ways. They can play defense, and they are knockdown shooters, and that's kind of his offense is Kelsey. So I think, yeah, he should definitely be more in the mix. This from starter. UConn is my dark horse. What do you think? Top 10 offense, top 10 defense on Ken Pom. Yeah, I think that they're a team that has a really good chance to make it to the Elite Eight Final Four. And I'm kind of the mind personally that if you make it to the Elite Eight, or the Sweet 16, I should say, you're really just a bounce or two away from playing in Houston. So that's kind of my thought process. Oral Roberts upsets Duke. I don't agree on that front. I think Duke is the hottest team in the country right now. Don't really like saying it, but it is what it is. This from Mitchell. Thoughts on Marquette? Yeah, I think they're a solid team. I'll be honest with you though. I got them losing to Michigan State in the round of 32. I trust Tom Izzo. I don't care if his team is not as great as it's been in the past. I trust Tom Izzo, and he figures it out when he needs to. So I actually have Michigan State as a 7 seed playing K-State in the Sweet 16. So there you go. This from I made a bet and lost. So now who you got winning the chip? We'll talk about that in a second. This from starter. Colgate can fill it up. Longhorns could get upset. No, Colgate can actually shoot the lights out. Absolutely shoot the lights out. I also had a fun stat about College of Charleston real quick. The Colonial Conference is 10-4 against the spread since 2008. Their person in the, I guess, team in the NCAA tournament this year is Charleston, right? So remember that 10-4 since 2008 against the spread is the Colonial Conference representative. I'm taking Charleston to win outright anyway. But let's get some more of these betting tips I've got for you guys. So 100% of the champions since 2004, again, 100% since 2004 have been ranked in the top 12 of the AP Week 6 poll. This year, those teams are number 1, Purdue, Virginia, UConn, Bama, Houston, Tennessee, Texas, Kansas, Arizona, Arkansas, Baylor, and then the Blue Devils of Duke. I will be honest with you, it is taking everything in my being to not pick the Gauchos of Santa Barbara to beat Baylor in the first round. Everything in my being. I'll tell you this, if Baylor wins in the first round, they sure as hell ain't making the second weekend. They are just not. Their defense is putrid. Sure, they can shoot the lights out, but in March, you've got to be able to do both. You've got to be able to do both. Let's get some more facts real quick. A first 4 team has made the round of 32 in every year but 2019 since its inception. Okay? So some of those first 4 teams, you think about who they are and everything. Obviously, you have Pittsburgh last night. Then you've got Arizona State playing tonight. as well as Nevada. I'll be honest with you. I would want to pick Pittsburgh if it wasn't against Iowa State, but give me the winner of Arizona State, Nevada to beat TCU. TCU just doesn't do a good job rebounding. Obviously, Eddie Lampkin is no longer with the program right now. So I think Nevada actually wins tonight and beats TCU, and I don't really care if it's Arizona State either. The winner of that game beats TCU. So remember that again. A winner of the first four in has gone to the round of 32 every year since its inception, except for 2019. Next, always remember this. Teams with slow tempos are prone to first-round upsets. If you go slow and you are a high-ranked team, you got a really good chance of getting knocked off because there's mid-major schools that predicate their offense on shooting. Perfect example is Colgate in Texas. Do I think Texas is going to get upset by Colgate? No, but I'll tell you this right now. I'm taking Colgate points. I'll do that every day of the week. Last I saw it was like plus 11.5. Give me that all day on the Colgate front. Also this, VCU is 15-5 against the spread in the last 20 tournament games. All right, so you look who VCU is playing in the first round, and I have VCU beating them, by the way. It's St. Mary's, okay? So I've got them beating St. Mary's. St. Mary's is a slow-paced team. What did I say earlier? Slow-tempo teams lose early. This game might not even get to 100 points total. Like, these teams just refuse to score, but they'll play their ass off defensively. Give me the Rams in that one. I think they continue. This one's interesting because, well, I know a lot of people listening right now do not like this school. Texas is 1-11 against the spread in their last 12 tournament games. Remember how I said I'm taking Colgate plus the points? That's the reason why as well. And then I've got a couple more for you real quick. Since 2014, if you bet on every 11 seed in the money line, every 11 seed in their money line, so to win the game, you would be up 36 units. Bet on 11 and bet on 12s, people, if you're going to bet. And by the way, this is just, hey, I'm just pointing it out there. Just putting it out there. You don't have to follow it. This is just, advice or whatnot. So again, since 2004, if you bet on every 11 seed money line, you are up 36 units. So think about that for a second. If you put $100 on, this is just quick math because God knows I didn't go to Texas Tech for math. But just think about that. If your unit of betting, one unit for you is $100, you are up $3,600 since 2004 just by betting on the 11 seeds money line. There you go. This also, USC, who I have losing to Michigan State, but I'll tell you this, I am going to take USC's points against them because of this stat right here. Andy Enfield, the USC coach, is 10-2 against the spread. So I'm picking Michigan State money line, but give me the USC points. There you go. I know that was a lot. Do y'all have any questions on my bracket? We can talk about it right now a little bit. Probably wrap up here in about 10 minutes, but drop those questions real quick in the chat, and I'll be sure to answer them to the best of my ability. And I'll give you my dark horse pick to win the national title here in just a second, because there is a clear team that nobody is talking about, and you guys should know about them. But let's get to it real quick over here. Frank Morgan, most NIL are paid monthly, and as soon as you enter the portal, you lose it. They can wait until May 11th. Frank, actually the last installment for Texas Tech, I know, NIL-wise, is on April 1st. Maybe different at every other school, but I know for Texas Tech, that's the last payment for them. So that's why maybe some guys are waiting. What about the fact that championship only comes through the Big 12, ACC, or Big East 15-year streak? Do you think that continues? I don't. I do not. I think there are a lot of things broken. I don't know if y'all seen the chart where it's like every national championship since 2000 has been won east of Fort Worth. So draw an imaginary line straight up the United States, east of Fort Worth. Every national championship has come east of that line. So that's interesting. I think that changes this year. Stephanie wrote, I don't know what's on BBC. I don't know. I don't really watch BBC too much. Let's see here. This from Mitchell. Wait, what? Are you for real? Yeah, I know a lot of those seemed crazy. I'm trying to bring the heat tonight. Just trying to help y'all win a little bit of money. Again, not gambling advice. Just pointing out some facts to you guys. Did my research for my other job. By the way, check out gamingtoday.com. Bunch of stuff on there as well. Shout out to them. Love that job. And going to Vegas tomorrow. So, you know, I had to do my research. This from Mitchell again. RC got me changing my whole bracket. Don't do that. Trust your gut. Jesus. None of us know really what we're talking about, if we're being honest about it, when it comes to the bracket. I'll run it back for you here in just a second, Mitchell. And then thoughts on Houston. Yeah, I'm interested to see how healthy they are. I think they're a really good team. I have them in my Final Four right now. But Sasser scares me, man. I just don't know how healthy he is. I know he's a game-time decision against their first-round matchup, Northern Kentucky. I believe they play tomorrow. So, yeah, that scares the hell out of me. He's the top 10 player in the country. That's why it scares me. This from Starter. Do you think Kansas will have issues with McCullum's injury and Bill Self? Yeah, absolutely, I do. But I'll say this as well. Kansas is Kansas, man. They're really good. They've got really good assistants. They are a deep team. I have them going to the Elite Eight and then losing in the Elite Eight. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Let's run through it. I'll give you guys my Sweet 16 real quick. How about that? Here we go. It's going to be spicy too. So I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me. And I'll tell you my dark horse to win the national championship, even though I don't have them, but I think it might be cool to put a future down. In fact, I'm going to do it myself out in Vegas to win the national championship. Here we go, though. Starting up in the South region. That's a weird thing to say. Up in the South region. Anyway, doesn't matter. I got Alabama, Charleston, and the Sweet 16. Creighton, Arizona. Then I've got Purdue, Oral Roberts, Kansas State, Michigan State. And then on the other side of the bracket, I've got Gonzaga, UCLA, UConn, Kansas, absolute chalk for me down in the West. And then up in the Midwest, this is where things get interesting too. I've got Houston, Texas, Xavier, and then Drake. Do not count out Drake. The upset I feel most comfortable with in the first round is Drake over Miami because Miami's big man is hurt. He is not going to be 100% if he plays. Give me Drake. They defend, they shoot the lights out, and they dictate their own pace. And they are very well coached. Very, very well coached. That's the one I'm most confident in. When it comes to the Elite Eight, I've got Alabama, Creighton, Purdue, Kansas State, Gonzaga, Kansas, and then Houston, Xavier. All right. And my Final Four is Alabama, Kansas State, Houston, Gonzaga, and then in the national championship, I've got Alabama versus Gonzaga, and I've got Mark Few winning his first national title for the Bulldogs up in Spokane. They're just not getting enough love this year, people. They're not. Every year it feels like we overhype Gonzaga. Every year it feels that way. And this year, no hype. No hype whatsoever. I think their guards are playing at an elite level right now. Drew Timme is one of the most experienced bigs in the country. They have elite wing depth, and they have arguably a top five, not even arguably, a top five coach in college basketball in Mark Few. He's going to get them right. They're under the radar as a 3 seed. I really like some of their matchups. You look at it, Grand Canyon's already got their own problems. I don't know if y'all heard this, but Grand Canyon actually had all their luggage lost on their plane. Luckily enough, their head coach is brothers with Scott Drew, so Baylor is giving them, their stuff to work out in. So that's kind of crazy. I think Gonzaga beats Nevada. Then they're going to face UCLA. UCLA lost their best defender. And then they play Kansas, and I think they beat Kansas in the rematch of what we saw just really last year. This from Todd. They don't deserve hype. Since January, they played no one. Yeah, that's just not true. The West Coast Conference doesn't get enough love. The West Coast Conference is obviously not the Big 12 or ACC or anything like that, but this is not Gonzaga 8 years ago, okay? St. Mary's is there. They've got really solid basketball teams out at the West Coast Conference. Let's even go look at it for you. Let's go do that. Just to look at the standings here. You got Santa Clara, they're good. You got Loyola Marymount. You got San Francisco. I mean, look at it. You got two teams that are ranked coming into the tournament and are 3 and 5 seeds. Like, the West Coast Conference by no means is the Big 12. Don't get me wrong, but it's not, again, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago even, where it was just Gonzaga and maybe one other team that was halfway competent. No, St. Mary's is really good. And they've got a couple other solid teams in there as well. Gonzaga's on a 9-game winning streak. I think they deserve a ton of hype. Their guards are playing at an elite level right now. And that's who I've got winning the national championship. Before I run through those betting tips or whatever the hell you want to call it one more time, the team that I am putting a future on personally, again, not betting advice, just what I'm doing. I think the Big 12 is doing pretty well. Am I including Houston in the Big 12? Probably not. I guess they're still in the American, huh? I've got Texas in the Elite Eight. I've got Kansas State in the Final Four. I've got Kansas in the Elite Eight. I mean, I've got two teams in the Elite Eight from the Big 12. So, yeah. TCU, Mitchell is not missing anybody else as far as I know. But I really like Nevada. I think Nevada is a really, really good team. K-State winning it all. That's spicy right there. The team that I think is a dark horse to win it all is Creighton. They are 1-8 without their best player, and Ryan Kalkbrenner, their center. He was an all Big East player. When he plays, they're a completely different team, right? They meet all the criteria according to Ken Palm to win it. They have 12 losses. It's not sexy at all. I get it. But they are really good. They experienced. Remember Baylor Shireman last year, played at a mid-major, blew it up, then transferred to Creighton. They've just been injury prone this whole year. They are healthy now. They will be fine in the tournament, and I think they have a really good chance to surprise some people because think about it. This is who they potentially play if you go the high seed route. They beat NC State. They play Baylor. Then they play Arizona. I think they match up really well against Arizona. And then they play Alabama. I have them losing to Alabama, but I'm not so sure Alabama will get to the title game. I have them there, but with all the distractions around Brandon Miller, they said they had to hire security for him today, like guards. Like, what is going on here? Noah says don't sleep on UConn. Absolutely. No, UConn is definitely up there for me. I've got UConn in the Elite Eight or Sweet 16, excuse me. So there you go. Let's see here. I like Creighton. They looked elite in Maui. Yeah, and that's the team that's healthy now. Like that, Baylor has been inconsistent. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. In my personal bracket, I might just be picking with my heart here. I've got the Gauchos of Santa Barbara beating Baylor. Yeah, I'm sticking with it. I think they beat them. Let's see. I'll answer a couple more questions and then run through this list one more time. They lost to Arizona and Maui. It's hard to beat a team twice. There you go. Bama falling to West Virginia. Ooh, that's spicy. That's spicy. I can see it. That's spicy, though. I think Alabama's the most interesting team in the tournament, quite honestly, with all this crap that's going on off the floor. I think they're arguably the most talented team in the country, but we know that off-the-court stuff impacts your on-court performance. So it'll be interesting. Let's see here. What about Iona? Let me see where I have Iona. I think Iona, I have them losing in the first round, which shouldn't be a surprise. Yeah, against UConn. Yeah, I've got UConn winning that. Let's see here. How far you got Marquette going? I've got Marquette losing to Michigan State in the round of 32. Trust Tom Izzo, baby. That's what I do. It really hasn't failed me that much in life. It really hasn't. Let's see. Nate Oates sucks in March. Yeah, I mean, but this is by far the most talented team he's ever had. Todd, thank you for the luck in Vegas. I will need it. Hopefully, I can pay off some of the wedding that's happening here in a couple months. This from Jesse. I'm going to say F it and go San Diego State. I don't know why, but I feel like they are going to have their year, man. Jesse, I mean this with the utmost respect. I have them losing in the first round of Charleston. All right. We're at the hour mark. Let me read off these things one more time. Again, this is not betting advice. This is just what's going on in terms of what I'm thinking. Big Ten teams are 13-1 since 2000 as a 7 seed, i.e. why I am betting the money line for Michigan State, but taking the points for USC in that matchup. Ken Pom, adjusted offense 45 and adjusted defense 22. That is a championship rule right there, okay? That has happened since 2004 for Ken Pom. There you go. There's a lot of teams that fit that, but really when it comes down to it, the 4 that I've seen the most of are Alabama, Texas, UConn, and then who's the other team? Escapes me right now. Oh, Houston. There we go. All right. 100% of champions since 2004. Again, 100% of champions since 2004 have been ranked in the top 12 of the Week 6 AP poll. Who's stupid? I am, because my national championship pick is not on this list. But here we go. All right. Week 6 AP poll from this past season. We've got Purdue, Virginia, UConn, Bama, Houston, Tennessee, Texas, Kansas, Arizona, Arkansas, Baylor, Duke. The team that I think has a lot of upset potential is Arkansas. They are finally healthy. They have a lot of freshmen, and they're just kind of playing with house money damn near right now. And if you're telling me right now that they get to match up if they win their first round game against Kansas, how healthy is Kevin McCullough? I think that's an interesting matchup, and I could see the Hogs beating the defending national champions, it almost feels like a North Carolina Baylor matchup last year in Fort Worth, where UNC had a hot day, almost gave the lead up to Baylor when they came back, but inevitably won that game and then went on to the national championship game to lose. I'm not saying the Hogs will get there, but I think it could happen, something like that. What else we got here? A first 4 team has made the round of 32 in every year but 2019. I think you got to go Pittsburgh, and you got to go the winner tonight of Arizona State, Nevada. The one I feel most comfortable in is if they win tonight is Nevada. I think Nevada upsets TCU. Just my personal opinion on that front. Teams with slow tempos get upset in the first round. Looking at you, St. Mary's. Give me that 12 VCU on that front. Speaking of VCU, VCU is 15-5 against the spread in their last 20 tournament games. Take VCU against the spread, or don't. It's not up to me. You can do what you need to. All right. And then Texas is 1-11 in their last 12 tournament games against the spread. Take Colgate plus the points. Boom. There you go. Since 2004, this is the one that got people all jacked up in the chat here. Since 2004, if you bet on every 11 seeds money line, you are up 36 units. To put that in perspective, if you bet $100 on every 11 seed money line to win, you would be, since 2004, you'd be up $3,600. There you go. Andy Enfield, USC coach, is 10-2 against the spread in 12 tournament games. One more reminder, that's why I'm picking Michigan State to win, but USC to cover on that matchup. And then back to the College of Charleston. This one is interesting. The Colonial Conference representative since 2008, that conference is 10-4 against the spread. Give me Charleston to win outright and cover. Boom, done. I hope y'all enjoyed every part of that. I appreciate each one of you. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. I will be tweeting out of Vegas, and shoot, I might even go live while I'm at a sportsbook in Vegas just to have some fun with y'all and maybe even throw down a bet that y'all want me to throw down. Within reason, people. Within reason, of course. But I am RC Maxfield for the Back to 12 podcast. And again, for daily Texas Tech videos, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button to stay in the know all year long right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.